Once upon a time, before Mickey Mouse, before Disneyland, and before animation became magic, there was just a boy with a pencil, a dream, and an unshakable belief that imagination could change the world. This is the story of Walt Disney, a man who turned setbacks into stories, failures into fantasies, and an ordinary life into one of the greatest creative legacies in history. Walt Disney was born on December 5, 1901, in Chicago, Illinois. But his heart belonged to a small town called Marceline, Missouri, where his family moved when he was 4. It was in Marceline that young Walt discovered a lifelong love for trains, animals, and the peaceful simplicity of rural America. Those memories would later become the soul of his stories. He spent hours sketching the farm, the fields, and the neighbors' animals. His aunt bought him his first drawing set, and from that moment, Walt saw the world through a pencil. Life wasn't easy. His father, Elias Disney, was strict and often harsh. Money was always short, but Walt had imagination, and that no one could take from him. When the family moved to Kansas City, Walt's world changed again. He started delivering newspapers before dawn, working long hours. Still, he dreamed. He loved to draw, and at school he entertained classmates with cartoons and sketches. He also discovered the magic of animation after watching early cartoons in local theaters. After dropping out high school, Walt joined the Red Cross during World War I. Too young to enlist, he drove an ambulance in France, covering it with his own hand-drawn cartoons. When he returned, he was ready to chase his dream. In 1920, Walt began working at an advertising studio in Kansas City. He soon started his own small company, Overcame Films, producing short animations based on fairy tales. He hired a few friends, including a talented artist named Iwerks, who would become his creative partner for years. But the business failed. At just 22 years old, Walt found himself broke, sleeping in a studio, eating cold beans, and washing at the train station. Still, he refused to give up. He packed a suitcase, borrowed $40, and took a one-way train to Hollywood, carrying only drawings, ideas, and an unbreakable dream. Hollywood in the 1920s was a place of stars, glamour, and growing opportunity. But Walt wasn't interested in fame. He wanted to build stories. He started a new company with his brother, Roy Disney, working out of a small garage. Together, they created a character named Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, which became a success. But then came heartbreak. Their distributors stole the rights to Oswald and most of their animators. Walt lost almost everything again. On the train ride home, instead of giving up, he began sketching a new character, a cheerful little mouse with big round ears. His name was Mickey Mouse. In 1928, Steamboat Willie premiered, one of the first cartoons with synchronized sound. It was an instant hit. Mickey became a global icon, and Walt Disney became a name known around the world. The 1930s brought more than Mickey. Walt wanted to expand, to create a whole world of characters. He introduced Donald Duck, Goofy, and Pluto, building the foundation of an empire. But he wanted to go further. In 1934, he began a project that everyone said would destroy him, a full-length animated feature film. They called it Disney's Folly. It took 3 years, hundreds of artists, and Walt's last savings. But in 1937, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs premiered, and the audience was stunned. It became the first full-length animated movie ever made and the highest-grossing film of its time. From that day, animation would never be the same. Success didn't mean peace. The studio expanded rapidly, but soon came labor strikes, rising costs, and internal conflicts. Walt was devastated. He saw his studio as a family. Then came World War II. the U.S. government asked Disney to make training and propaganda films. The magic paused, replaced by patriotism and duty. When the war ended, Walt's creativity reignited. He began experimenting again, combining music, art, and movement in films like Fantasia and Bambi. Each project was risky. Some flopped, others became timeless. But Walt kept innovating. He never stopped learning, never stopped dreaming. By the 1950s, Walt wanted something new, a place where imagination could live in the real world. He envisioned a magic kingdom where children and adults could share stories together. When he shared the idea, investors laughed. An amusement park? They said. You'll lose everything. Walt ignored them. In 1955, he opened Disneyland in Anaheim, California. Opening day was chaotic. Rides broke down, asphalt melted in the heat, and food ran out. Critics called it a disaster, but the public loved it. Within weeks, Disneyland became a sensation. Families came from across the country to experience the dream Walt had built from scratch. It wasn't just a park, it was a living storybook. Behind the scenes, Walt was both a perfectionist and a dreamer. He could be demanding, sometimes harsh, but always driven by one purpose: to make people happy. He pushed his team to create the impossible, from audio animatronics to multi-plane cameras, constantly blending art and technology. He was also a visionary thinker, introducing the Mickey Mouse Club, Disney television shows, and even educational films. His imagination seemed endless, but his health wasn't. Years of heavy smoking caught up with him. Even as his health declined, Walt dreamed bigger than ever. He began designing Disney World in Florida, a vast, futuristic city that would combine entertainment, innovation, and community living. He called it the Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, or Epcot. But in 1966, before construction began, Walt Disney was diagnosed with lung cancer. He passed away on December 15, 1966, just 10 days after his 65th birthday. The man who built worlds of magic left behind a real one, forever changed. After Walt's death, his brother Roy carried out his final dream. In 1971, Walt Disney World opened its gates in Florida with a dedication plaque that read, "May Walt Disney World bring joy and inspiration and new knowledge to all who come to this happy place." Today, Disney's empire includes movies, parks, studios, and dreams that span across generations and continents. But beyond all the success, the true legacy of Walt Disney isn't just Mickey Mouse or Disneyland. It's the belief that imagination can shape reality. He once said, "If you can dream it, you can do it." And that's exactly what he did. From a boy sketching animals on a farm, to a man who built a world of wonder, Walt Disney proved that creativity, courage, and faith in your dreams can change everything. His story isn't just about cartoons or castles. It's about believing that even in a world of limits, magic is real if you have the heart to create it. Walt Disney didn't just make films. He made dreams you can walk into.